You are watching or listening to Purham and Associates. For more information, go to www.rpurham.com. Hey, good day to you all. Welcome to Purham and Associates, and I'm your host, Randy Purham. And happy post Easter, belated Easter, however you want to put that, day after Easter. I hope you all had a great weekend and was able to relax and all that good stuff, and did a great had the Easter egg hunts with the kiddos and or adults. Some adults out there still doing Easter egg hunts. Go figure. Put a little money in and throw it in the woods and stuff like that. Yeah, yeah. We still do that. But hey, we got a very special guest with us today. He's actually a returning guest. But I enjoy talking to Michael because we get into some good topics here. And he is for those that don't know who he is, and that's like first time catching him here. He's Michael Letts. He is the founder and president and CEO of InVest USA, and he is a national grassroots nonprofit organization that is helping hundreds of communities provide thousands of bulletproof vests for their police forces through educational, public relations, sponsorship, and fundraising programs. As of June 20, as of June 2023, more than 13,520 concealable and active shooter vests have been distributed to police officers throughout the United States and globally as a result of the leadership and passion. The organization's efforts have helped police officers from areas devastated by Hurricane Katrina to nations such as Nicaragua and Mexico. His involvement has earned him a Congressional Gold Medal Award for Community Service and the South Carolina Order of the Palmetto, South Carolina's highest civilian honor for extraordinary lifetime achievement and service to the state and nation. His efforts have been recognized globally with the bestowing of the title. In addition to being the CEO and president of InVest USA, he is also the chaplain at the Columbia Police Department and the state constable for the state of South Carolina, the chaplain at South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, and was the executive pastor at Hope Baptist Church, councilman at Central Midlands Councils of Governments, Airport Commission, South Carolina State Counterterrorism Council, founder, president, and CEO of Salty Fin Realty and Holdings, LLC, board member and partner, Talalus Technology, LLC, and a member of the First Palmer Trust. He also holds numerous leadership positions in the Chamber of Commerce and Boy Scouts of America in Kiwanis. A few of his numerous honors and awards include His Excellency Count Sir Michael Letts, Chevalier, Knight of Honor of the Imperial Teutonic Order, Republic of Germany, the Congressional Gold Medal Award, 100 Congress, and the South Carolina Order of the Palmetto. Michael resides in South Carolina, South Carolina with his loving wife and partner, Karen. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the some and presenting others, Mr. Michael Letts. Good morning, sir. Welcome back.
Well, that was a mouthful, Randy, but I appreciate it.
It was.
Always great though to be with you. You're such a fantastic host, and we have so much fun on your show that I know your listeners enjoy it as much as I do.
Yes, absolutely. So, welcome back, and give us an update as to what's been going on in your neck of the woods the last few months.
I will tell you, we have been so busy, working with the Trump administration, to help partner to make sure we restore law and order. I think that's our primary focus and concern is the American people.
Hmm.
It's kind of hard to do anything else if you don't feel safe. Of
Yeah.
course, part of that has been, making sure the deportations are moving forward, making sure we're rounding up the cartels, the child sex traffickers. We discover something new every day. It's amazing. Here's what the frustrating part. You asked what has been our main objective, what has been happening. Besides handing out vests and what we normally do, taking care of the officers on the street, is we are now seeing, Randy, how deeply corrupt our government has become and how it has been blocking every effort that the American people want to happen, voted to happen, to try to make happen. It's not just dealing with the elements from without. Let's just talk about, say, the removing the cartels or the gangs, etc. It's not just dealing with those folks. It's dealing with the opposition from within. It's
Hmm.
the corruption that we have. And what is causing all this? Well, what we found out is that it is frightening how much fraud and money laundering is occurring by many, even of our elected officials
Yeah.
and bureaucrats. And when you begin to discover that and you turn the spigot off, Randy, they get desperate. Of
Hmm.
course, I mean, I kind of get it. I understand. You look on a personal note, you lose your job, you don't have any money coming in to pay the bills, you get pretty desperate. And this is basically, of course, I don't want to compare it to that. These people are stealing billions of dollars. It's not like, hey, they're stealing $50 a month to be able to buy groceries. I mean, they're raping the American people.
Hmm.
But anytime you expose that, they know the consequences of that exposing. That is prison time, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, they are desperately digging in to try to counter that now. It allowed us during the first 3 months of the administration. We kind of moved things forward. But once they caught them off guard, it was moving so fast they didn't know how to react. But they've now figured it out. They figured out that their funding is being exposed to all these NGOs and other things. And their money, they're losing their money. And now they're digging in. How are they digging in? I'm giving a broad overview. We could talk about specifics, right? But
Okay.
what is the broad overview? Well, they're using their liberal activist judges to
Hmm.
try to throw up roadblocks. This is embezzlement and fraud. Well, maybe, but you can't touch that. You continue to fund that until we have a hearing on that, even though they don't have jurisdiction in the matter. And they're using all their allies. They're pulling them all out, as many as possible. They're using their allies that are within various agencies, whether it's the CIA, the FBI, or others, to kind of, monkey up the waters and
Hmm.
try to make sure that they slow down the exposing of the crimes that have occurred over the last few generations. And so that's what's been going on, quite frankly. It's rewarding knowing that you're trying to restore America to her greatness, and greatness comes by being transparent and honest.
Yeah.
It's frustrating when you see, Randy, just how deep the corruption runs and how entrenched it is. Somebody asked me just on a show I was just on, just got off and coming on to yours, are we going to win? I say, I think they asked President Roosevelt that when in December, after December the 7th, and 1941, he said, through our righteous might, we shall prevail. I do believe we have the ability through righteousness to prevail in this country, but it's going to take all hands on deck. This is going to be a united front, like a world war. Either
Hmm.
we're all in it together, we're all focused on restoring our country and taking it back and making it free once again, or we're going to allow the Chinese, and that's one of many, and others just to destroy us from within.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're headed down that path fast if we don't do something quickly, Randy.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And the sad part is we do have a lot of internal nefarious actors, and it goes back to what Abraham Lincoln said. We don't have to worry about external factors destroying us. We have to worry about the internal factors destroying us, and that's what we're dealing with. And it's just to your point. We have all these NGOs and these nonprofit organizations that are ciphering the money from the government, through the government. They're giving the money and say, hey, okay, here's $1 billion, give me half of that and we'll call it good. And they're like, okay, because I didn't have half of this in the first place, so whatever. And so you got this
Exactly.
cycle, of money going on, and then and now that's exposed. In America, people are like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this is happening," and then the judges and the activists and everybody else, they're like, "Well, okay, it's happening, but let's keep it, let's let it happen, and who are we to stop it? And oh my God, no, we can't disrupt this normalcy because now we're disrupting people's livelihoods." It's like, huh?
Correct.
It's
The
make it make
bad part
sense.
about it, yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah, Randy, the bad part about it is this. If people say, well, how are they getting all this? They're smart. All these NGOs have congressmen and senators on their boards.
Yeah.
And see, they
Hmm.
hide that. They're not sitting on the,
Yes.
you would think, oh, it's a
Yes.
nonprofit. Those wonderful public officials are serving not just in Congress, but they're serving to help the community through nonprofits. No,
Hmm.
they're serving because they're getting paid millions of dollars, not just
Yes.
per diem. They're getting millions of
Millions.
dollars to sit on
Yes.
these boards. So of
Yes.
course they're going to send the money that way because that's how they're getting paid.
Yep.
That's just, it's just
Yes.
disgusting. Quite frankly, it's
Yes.
disgusting.
You're absolutely right, and no one thinks about that. No one says, okay, a member of Congress is elected every 2 years. Their salary
Correct.
is ballparkish 175,000 a year,
Correct.
um, and they leave office after 2 years or go into reelection, whatever the case may be in that cycle. And you look at their net worth, their FEC filings, and they amassed like 30, 40 million dollars. It's like,
Correct.
where did that come from? No one bats an eye at that. No one says, okay, they're now millionaires, and then, oh, by the way, you got the Pelosi that are openly playing in the stock market and everything else. No one bats an eye at that. And so you see the blatant corruption, but oh, by the way, we can't disrupt their livelihoods because they're public servants. It's like, but we're public servants as well. We put them in office. So if that was us, if that was you or myself, oh, we're in handcuffs and we're throw away the key and forget about it because we're breaking the law. But they're exempt from the law because they wrote the laws. It's
You're
just
exactly right.
it's just mind blowing to me. I'm just like, hello America. What's good for the goose is good for the gander here. And if they're being
It is the
exposed,
most elaborate criminal syndicate. I mean, you think the mafia, you hear the word mafia, whoa,
yes.
they don't hold a candle to what
Hmm.
we've been able to do in government
Yes.
to steal from the American people, to control the American people. It really is disgusting.
It is. It is. It's quite sad actually, and being here in Austin, this is a secondary swamp compared to DC, and we're seeing it every day down here, and just last weekend they had a counter the Republicans got together and did a counter protest at the Tesla factory at what the Tesla dealership, and the liberals they went home after a few minutes. They saw that they were outnumbered, outgunned, quite literally, and they were like, yeah. This is not going to work out in our favor, so let's just get out of here, type of thing. Because it was like, okay, we're done playing your games. We let you get away with it for a few weeks, but we're done with this now. And so it's sort of starting to dissipate a little bit, but it just goes to show that a lot of these smaller entities that are being utilized as useful idiots, they too are starting to wake up to the corruption, and they're saying, you know what? I got paid $10 to be out here for an hour to hold this sign to say get rid of
Right.
Elon Musk, but they're still sitting on millions. And if I go to
Exactly.
jail, I'm not going to get bailed out, and I might be facing 20 years in prison all of a sudden now because I just firebombed that truck for no reason. So it's like, wait a minute, this is not making any sense anymore. So they're starting to see it now, and it's like, what are we doing? So it's just amazing. It's just mind boggling to me. But I want to touch on you mentioned about being out there dealing with the cartels and everything goes, and President Trump designated these the cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, dealing with Trinidad with Aragua, with MS-13, and these other jokers is out there. New Mexico recently just deployed their National Guard. Texas, we still have Operation Lone Star going on, although that's quieted down a lot. Because I was just down at the
Right.
border. I was just down at the border a couple months ago, and it was like a ghost town. I was like shocked. I was at Eagle Pass. It was like a ghost town compared to last year. And same day, same time frame, a year apart. Ghost town, a big, because like it was like a, I don't know, like a mecca type of thing. Like it was like all kinds of people down there last year, but this year ghost town. So it was just crazy. But I wanted to ask you, in regards to the deployment of National Guardsmen around the country, we're seeing it with uh, Tom Homan, Bodasar, Tom Homan going around kicking in doors and rounding up everybody and everything else. What is your organization doing to facilitate with these operations around the country?
I'm working very closely with Tom. Tom, making sure, first of all, here's what you have to understand. When we're talking about the cartels, when we're talking about child sex traffickers and those type operations,
Mm,
they will clearly admit to you that they're better armed and better protected than we are. The cartels spare no expense in making sure they have the best armaments and the best protection for their people. And so, quite frankly, we've been making sure that our brave men and women have a fighting chance. And when they go into these situations, they have the newest active shooter vests so that they can feel comfortable that they have a fighting chance in coming home safely to their families. We think that's only fair. Quite frankly, it's interesting what you were talking about on New Mexico when they're saying that they're deploying their guard. Actually, they're being very deceptive in that. Here's what they have done, and Albuquerque and all, and other locations.
hmm
They are bringing in their National Guard. They're telling them they can't wear the uniform. They wear a polo shirt. They can't wear a vest. They can't have a sidearm. They have no armaments. And they're putting them in the quote unquote richer, safer neighborhoods so they can supposedly free up law enforcement to go target these terrorists or these, cartel members, etc., in the what they call the gang areas. Here's a situation that you have though. When you put guards members without the ability to defend themselves, you're putting them at a huge disadvantage.
hmm
Second thing is, you don't think with the intel system that the money that the cartels are bringing in, they have a fantastic, probably as good as we have on the national level, NSA. They've got a great intel system. You don't think they know what our plans are? So what are they doing? This is what we're seeing on the ground. Come on into the disturbed neighborhoods, as you call them. We're not there. While you're down here, we're running up there to the
Yeah.
rich neighborhoods because they're being defended by somebody that's not armed, doesn't have a vest. You think they're going to get in our way? We'll go ahead and clean house while we're here.
Yeah.
And that's what is occurring now. And this is the twisted mindset of the liberal leftists. You say, why do you say that? Okay, let's deal with the situation. Let's look at it objectively. How should you do it? You should go ahead and take a couple of their SWAT team members, talking about law enforcement, supplement it with a SWAT team from guard units. I'm talking about fully tactical, fully prepared, fully armed, and go in and clean up the messes in the gang areas.
hmm
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what you do. You don't try to say, "Well, look, we're going to go ahead and bring in some unarmed, just nice people to walk around with a polo shirt on and try to maintain law and order and have no ability to do that." While we send our units down to the bad areas. Because the criminals are not stupid. Great, you just open up a whole other section of targeted areas we can go after, and we know we're not going to have any opposition. And that's what's happening.
Yeah, and then the caveat with that, they're also being tipped off as there's internal leaks going on and or external
Exactly.
leaks going on, being tipped off like, hey, this is what's going on, this is the operation, and we're seeing reports of that coming out, and just was it just the other day, the Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, just fired the third person out of the Pentagon for the exact same thing. So you got these nefarious actors once again in the government, trying to usurp, what we're trying to accomplish, in restoring, order, tranquility, peace, law and order in the country, and you got people that's like, yeah, no, we don't want that. We want chaos. We want we want murders, we want death because it's our job security, and that's what I'm boiling it down to. It's like these people want this stuff in order to have a job, because that's why I look at it as. And people when people hear me say that, they like, oh, that's a horrible way to put it, Randy. And I'm like, well, shit, it's the truth.
Yeah, Randy, you're telling it like it is. I mean,
Yeah, it's the truth.
it's amazing to me how much stupidity we still have
Yes.
on the left. I mean, I really well, I understand the full overall strategy on the leftist side now. That's why they took our educational system, which at one point in time we had one of the best educational systems in the world, Randy,
Yeah.
as you recall, and dumbed it down to where now most of our kids can't even read and write when they graduate.
Hmm.
And so if they can't read and write, they certainly can't understand the complexity of what's going on
In the world.
globally or within our society.
Hmm.
And they're just like leading sheep to the slaughter. And
Yes.
that's just what is so frustrating. I do feel great hope, Randy, that we're waking up. But it's kind of like if you, I'm gonna use the illustration of you've got a, not no longer a child, he's grown into a teenager, and now he realizes he doesn't know how to read and write, and he's waking up. I need that skill. Boy, we got some catching up to do. It doesn't
Hmm.
happen overnight. That's what's so frustrating because they're taking advantage of America. They're trying to bring us to our knees, and we fell asleep with a switch. I mean, there's no question that we allowed this to happen over generations. And boy, we've got some quick cramming courses, shall we say, to make
Yeah.
up for lost time.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And that is the frustrating part that I have is that a lot of people are waking up to it, and not only do they not understand the process, but there's a vast majority of society that's just never been exposed to the process because they've been dumbed down through
Right.
throughout the years, through the education system. They just don't know the process. So when you finally get them into the fold of learning the process, everything else is still going on. So the corruption, the all of the nefarious activities, all that stuff is still going on. You're still playing catch up trying to stop it. And so it's like man, this is like perpetuity. So we're looking at
So
this like 30 years at minimum, before we are actually saying, okay, we're closing the gap. Right now
yeah, you're
we're just
exactly right, Randy.
we're just scratching the surface right
It's
now.
we are a scratching service, and it is frustrating. One of the things
Hmm.
that's frustrating, that I'm hearing all across the country is, wow, you came in here, you've been exposing corruption. How come there's not, all the indictments coming? And don't get me wrong, I understand that. If anybody wants indictments yesterday, it's me. I'm trying to hold people's feet to the fire. But here's the other issue that you've got, Randy. They have figured out the best way for their offensive, talk about the left, is to use their activist liberal judges and tie things up in court.
Hmm.
So, my last briefing, I think we're like at 190 to 200 lawsuits that have been filed against the administration so far. Well, guess who defends the administration? The
Hmm.
Attorney General.
Yeah.
So, here you're telling the Attorney General on one hand, how come you don't have these indictments done yet? I mean, they should have been done yesterday, which, believe me, I understand because that's the way I feel, okay?
Yeah.
But then at the same time, well, did you just see the 10 new lawsuits that got dropped on my desk yesterday? That you don't have the option to say, oh, I don't want those lawsuits. We're not going to respond. You have to respond. Do you know how many people that I have in the office that I can trust that I'm dumping all this work onto?
Hmm.
It's becoming overwhelming. We're going to get through it. We're going to make sure that we prevail. Why do I say that, Randy? Because righteousness always prevails at the end of the day. We're
True.
going to win the fight.
Yeah.
But I've had to even step back and say, wow, this is pretty amazing. We've got to have a little bit of patience here as we work through this.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. It is going to take some time, and with all the I'm not going to say the lack of indictments, but the exposure. So it's going to require I say two elements here. Not only through I guess you could say the justice system, but the court of public opinion, and
Correct.
it's gonna require the American people to step up and say, okay, these judges are out of control, so now we have to be vigilant in the election cycle of the judiciary and start voting people into office at the judiciary and getting these folks out of the office and putting in I guess you say straight arrow judges, and getting them promoted through the ranks and make sure that they're straight and get them through get them through the
You're exactly
process.
right.
That's how we fix the system through that mechanism, but it's going to take time, and then
Well,
it's
one of the things
unfortunate
I've been saying,
irreversible.
Randy, is that we have
Hmm.
such corruption. It's all over, judicial,
Yeah,
Congress, etc.
yeah.
But you remember. Let's look at the Constitution.
Hmm.
Congress is supposed to or determines the fate of the judiciary from this standpoint. You remember the Constitution only guarantees the Supreme Court. All the other courts have been created by Congress to assist
Hmm.
the Supreme Court. So, in order to get, you remember, Congress is the only one that has the ability to remove judges. You
Yes.
said the president ought to fire every one of them. Oh, no. The power for impeachment of the judiciary lies within Congress and Congress alone.
Yep.
So you think these congressional members who are on the take, and we know we've got the list from everywhere from USAID, all the ones that are getting kickbacks from foreign aid,
Hmm.
to those that are on the Epstein list, et cetera, et cetera. Do you think if they're corrupt, do you think they're going to vote to kick off somebody that's corrupt on judiciary?
Nope.
Of course not. So what we have to
Why
do is we
would
have to move this process. Yeah, why would they?
they?
We have to move the process forward and start getting indictments for members of Congress.
Yep.
Once you clean out Congress, then you get people of integrity and decency there. Then they can go ahead and hold the judiciary accountable, which is what they're supposed to do under the Constitution, and force impeachments and start removing judges. That's where we need to be. But
Yep.
until we get that done, we're playing a kind of we're doing a little dancing around the circle. I mean,
Hmm.
nothing is occurring. There's a lot of dust being kicked up from the dancing, but they're not making any movement until we start getting people removed from office, locked up for what they have done, their treasonous acts.
Yeah. Yeah. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, and it's unfortunate. I want to touch on something real quick though. With the organization Invest USA, you guys are like, I guess I don't know how to ask the question, but
Fire away.
how are you all like placed in the United States in order to
Well,
facilitate helping the law enforcement and military? I guess.
It's a great question. I'm so glad you asked it, Randy. Invest USA started as a local charity in Columbia, South Carolina. We completed the mission. We were going to shut it down because it was actually, to begin with, called Invest to protect our Richland County deputies. That's what was the original name was 32 years ago. When we moved to, I held a press conference, handing out the last vest. My final comments were, "It's been a fun ride, guys, but I'm moving on. I don't have time for this anymore. We're shutting it down." I got so many calls around the southeast from other agencies saying, "Could you just keep it open for one more agency help us, and then you can shut it down?" So we finally had to expand our bylaws and become a national organization. As we begin to grow and we begin to get more and more publicity, shall we say, people begin to recognize the problem. We just haven't been able to find an exit strategy ever since then. But here's how it works right now. It used to be if you needed assistance, you just contact us. We put you on the list. And then, of course, we would go into your community and make the need known and rally
Hmm.
local people around to help you. It got to the point now, though, we are losing so many officers in the line of duty
Hmm.
that we had to change our statistics and say, look, we don't want those who have made the ultimate sacrifice for their families to think that they're alone, that it was in naught. And so we've changed our policy slightly by saying if you've lost an officer in the line of duty, one of your own, we'll put you to the top of the list. And the reason why it's not just your immediate neighborhood that has suffered a loss, it's America.
Yeah.
And America stands behind you, and we're here to support you. We don't just go in and take care of the whole department because we're still trying to raise money the best way we can, Randy. But we'll go in and give a vest to an officer in that department in honor of the fallen officer, so that he's remembered, so that America understands the price that we're being paid. I think it's important for America to realize we're losing almost one officer a day, Randy, being killed on the line of duty. When you consider what we suffered in Afghanistan and Iraq and other places, we're catching that number real quickly. This is more than a combat experience, quite frankly.
Hmm. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It is, and I thank you and on behalf of America, we thank you for the work that you guys are doing, because it is important work, and no one understands the magnitude of what you're doing in terms of helping the law enforcement agencies out there and the military, and getting that level of protection that's so much needed, because it's kind of like one of those like taken for granted type of things. Is like, oh, they're police officers, they that's part of their budget, they get that stuff, okay, it's whatever, but they don't realize like that has to be sourced from somewhere, and
Right.
so who's providing that? Where is that coming from? They don't think about that, and so it's like it's people like you in your organization that says, "Aha, we got it. Don't worry about it," and you provide that,
Thank you, Randy.
and you bring it, you say, "Hey, here you go. Go out there and do your thing," and so
And
thank you
see, it
for
works out great because
yeah,
we give the community the ability to be involved. I tell people this. Think about it for just a moment. When do you get to be you have involvement with law enforcement? You really don't. I mean,
true,
they're out patrolling. The only time you get to actually get involved with them is when they're pulling you over for speeding or something. It's not a pleasant experience. But we have to be involved together if we're going to make this work successfully. This gives you the opportunity to be a part of their lives. They in turn recognize that. Don't you think they're going to do a little bit better job of making sure you're safe and protected if they know how much you care for them?
yeah,
Of course they do.
yep, absolutely, absolutely. That's true. Michael, uh, provide us any closer thoughts you may have, and how people can follow and support you, sir.
Well, my closing thoughts are this, folks. As we continue this epic battle for the very soul of America between good and evil, yes, we're finding out just how deeply the evil lies, but we're also confident of the fact that, the only way you heal is by exposing and removing all the infection. And so we're excited to see the corruption being exposed. We're excited to see the engagement of the American people. I sympathize, I'm your chief sympathizer, that we can't move it fast enough for me. But at the same time, folks, it didn't take us just an hour to get into this mess. It took decades. It's going to take us a little time. But let's stay together, united. Don't allow the left to divide us, whether it be by race, whether it be by socioeconomics, whether it be by the fact that the great line they're using now, we're supposed to be compassionate. You take a look at the El Salvadorian citizen that they want to bring back here because they say he's a Maryland dad and he deserves compassion. Don't buy that. Look here, America has always been the most compassionate country in the world, but it's time for America first. American citizens and their rights have to be protected if we're going to be able to help anybody else in this world. So remain vigilant, remain united together, and we're going to succeed at the end of the day. But make sure you stay involved. If we can't do it together, we won't succeed. So please, thank you for your support. Support our first responders. Thank you for what you're doing, Randy, because you're making sure the truth, and that's the most important thing, is being exposed and people are getting to hear it. God bless you. God bless America. I look forward to the next time.
Absolutely. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. And God bless you too, sir. And be safe out there and continue having fun. I wish I was out there with you.
Yeah. We'll make sure we arrange that sometime in the near
Yeah.
future.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I appreciate it. Hey, be safe out there. Talk to you soon.
God
Yep.
bless. God bless
God bless.
America. Take care, buddy. Appreciate it.
Yep. Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, that's Michael Letts, founder, CEO of InvestUSA.org. I'm gonna throw up the website one more time for those that are watching, and listening rather. It's InvestUSA.org, and you can go there, check out the website, check out the don't hit the donate button there if you want to help contribute to getting some funding to buy more vests for the law enforcement that are in need of it. There are like small like sheriff departments, constable offices, departments rather, and just police departments and things of that nature that are in need. They don't have the budget or the funding to cover getting vests, protective vests and stuff like that. So that's what his organization does. Those departments reach out to them, and they, come up with the sourcing, the funding, and everything else to get that kind of stuff for them. So that's the purpose of their organization. So if you want to help contribute to that and support that, there you go. And to his last point about the Maryland character that got accidentally deported to El Salvador because of the threat to his life in El Salvador. Although he is an El Salvadorian citizen, he is from El Salvador. He illegally entered the country some years back and married, got kids here and all that kind of stuff, and got caught up. Did you know? Story just broke that he was beating his wife. She went into court, got filed, charges against him and everything else, and then they decided to reconcile and go through counseling and decide to stay together and all of that. And here we are. So, but it goes to show, like they're still releasing documents proving that he is a member of MS-13. He is a gang affiliated member with MS-13 out of El Salvador, and all that. His nickname is Chile and all this. So you got I think it was Van Hollen, Senator Van Hollen, Democrat out of Maryland. He went down to El Salvador to try to get him back, and they denied him entry and all this stuff. And you got these Democrats that are like bending over backwards to help illegal immigrants over American citizens, over their own constituency. So 2026 is going to be an interesting election cycle. I tell you, it's going to be interesting. I'm not going to say that, these folks are going to lose their seats. I'm not saying that, but they should lose their seats because we're seeing that they have no interest in helping or advocating for American causes. They're constantly sitting here saying, "Oh, due process, due process." Well, where was the due process of ensuring that we enforced our laws when you knew that there was an illegal immigrant in the country, when the Biden administration allowed these immigrants to flow through the country? What was our due process as American citizens? And so now that we're correcting course and we're rounding them up and getting them back out and everything else, now you want to be concerned about our laws. Now you want to be concerned about due process. But the hell with our due process when y'all brought them in illegally. Folks, I'm not saying what's going on is right. I'm not saying what's going on is wrong. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. And for this person, this gentleman that got accidentally sent back to his own country, he could have been deported to Antarctica. I am of the flavor. Look, I'm gonna be real with y'all for a minute. Yeah, y'all know how I roll sometimes. I'm gonna be real with y'all for a minute. It's a Monday, so I got some time. I'm gonna be real with y'all for a minute. If I was President Purham, thank God I'm not, because I would be impeached like 37 times. If I was President Purham and I had a deportation program, guess what? You wouldn't have to worry about getting rounded up and sent back to your country of origin. Nah. Mm-mm. Hey, when's that next flight to Antarctica? Oh, okay. Let's see you make your way back here from there. What? What's the problem? Oh, we got a conflict going on overseas. Oh, okay. Hey, how many people we got in prison? Oh, okay. Hey, cause executive order. Everybody that's in prison. Y'all go handle that. Pay your debt to society. There you go. What? What's the problem? Man, look. You talking about the U.S. crime rate has dramatically got reduced to zero overnight. Because yeah, that's how you handle those kind of problems. Will it be constitutional? Sometimes you just got to test the limits of the Constitution. Abraham Lincoln did it. George Washington did it. Hey, this is Andrew Jackson. Presidents do it from time to time. You just got to test it and see what happens, and let the Supreme Court figure it out. It is what it is. But in the meanwhile, their asses are out there floating. There's a bunch of people in Antarctica. There's a bunch of people over in the Middle East. It is what it is, folks. Hey, Like I said, that's why I'm not President Pearl. But I hope y'all have a fantastic remainder of the weekend. I look forward to catch you all. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be here on Friday. I do have a road trip to take this week, so yeah, I have to figure that out. So I will catch you when I catch you. Let me put it like that. So I will. Yeah, y'all be safe and don't do anything crazy. And yeah, God bless you all and take it easy. Ciao, ciao. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in today. Please be sure to follow, like, subscribe, and share, and go to rprim.com for more information. See you all soon. Take care. God bless.